everybody, and welcome to Poppa's Picks for Week 13, lucky Week 13 of the NFL football season. I'm Sean Big Poppa Williams, and like normal, we'll be giving you Poppa's Picks brought to you by FantasyDonks.com, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know to start playing daily fantasy football. As usual, we'll start off with the quarterbacks, and we're going to continue to explore the pricing via the DraftKings Millionaire Maker. So let's start off with quarterbacks as usual, and the first pick I have for you this week is Andrew Luck at $9,700 versus Washington. I realize Luck is ridiculously expensive. However, the lack of a running game and a great matchup should help him pay off that hefty price tag. I like Andrew Luck to probably point close to 28 to 30 points and pay off that $9,700. The number 2 quarterback I have for you this week is Ben Roethlisberger at $7,600 versus the New Orleans Saints. Big Ben draws the Saints, who are bottom 10 in the league, against a bottom 10 team, to opposing quarterbacks, and they need to win to stay alive in their divisional race. I like Big Ben to throw on the Saints secondary. After all, everyone else has. Why shouldn't Big Ben as well? The third quarterback I have for you this week is Ryan Tannehill. He's at the Jets, and his price tag is $6,900. Tannehill put up 27 points last week versus the Broncos secondary, and they actually have a decent secondary. The Jets do not. And I expect Tannehill to put up at least 22 points this week at the quarterback position, making him more than pay off his $6,900 price tag. The number 4 quarterback I have for you this week is that of Andy Dalton at Tampa Bay. He's $6,100. Look, I realize you may not at this point in the season after what he's done to you, but I have faith in the Red Rifle. He seems to have gotten his groove back. I know last week he had a miserable performance point-wise, but he was just a couple of yards shy of a couple of touchdowns, which would have hit him at the 20-point mark. And the week before that, he put up 22 points. I think Andy Dalton could have a great game against a terrible Tampa Bay secondary. I'm probably going to be playing Andy Dalton a few times this week. The number 5 quarterback I have for you, and that's the risk-reward play of the week at quarterback, is Colt McCoy. He is $5,000 at Indianapolis. The Colt is a min value for the quarterback position this week and has a good wide receiving set and the ability to put up points as he has in the past. His min value allows you as a player to stud up at the tight end position, the wide receiver position, or the running back position, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. If Colt McCoy can hit the 20-plus mark, he way pays off that $5,000 line, and I think you'll be very happy rostering him. The running back, now that we've wrapped up quarterbacks, let's move right along to the running back position. And the first running back I have for you this week is Le'Veon Bell versus the New Orleans Saints. He carries with him an $8,800 price tag, and the Saints defense is bad. Le'Veon has had some beast performances and beasted up last week. I would look for a repeat performance at home this week in what is a tight divisional race, and versus a run defense, that is bottom 10 in the NFL. The second running back I have for you is Jamal Charles at $8,600 versus the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs are playing for Eric Berry this week, who discovered, unfortunately, a mass in his chest and is on injured reserve, trying to get that taken care of and see whether or not it's cancer and seek out treatment if he needs it. I think the Chiefs will be playing inspired this week, not only for Eric Berry, but for the lead in the division. I think that this could be an epic game for Jamal. The Broncos aren't bad against the run on paper, but I think that's going to, because of that and his price point, I think a lot of people are going to stay away from Jamal, and you could be on top of one of Jamal's monster games. That's why I like Charles at home against the Broncos this week. The number 3 quarterback I have for you this week is that of Eddie Lacy versus the New England Patriots. He is $7,300, and we all know that the recipe to beat the New England Patriots is to pound them to death on the ground and keep Brady off the field. If the Packers can do that this week, it'll mean a huge day for Lacy, who has had some big games in the past. Keep in mind, this is a back that has already put up 30-plus points in games this year. The number 4 running back I have for you this week is that of Andre Ellington at Atlanta. He's $6,200, and Ellington gets the league's worst defense against the run. They're 32nd out of 32 teams. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Andre Ellington. I don't think he has the right stuff. But in all honesty, I would play Helen Keller versus the Falcons' run defense. That's how bad they are. I think he's going to have a huge game. The number 5 running back I have for you this week is that the risk reward play. And that is Trey Mason versus the Oakland Raiders at $4,600. He disappointed last week in what was a decent matchup, and now he gets a good matchup. I think the risk here is last week's game where he put up a 9.8 when he wasn't able to find the end zone. But on the flip side of that, he could have a monstrous game versus the Raiders. Just a touchdown or two and to catch a few more balls, and you're looking at 25 points. And at $4,600, that would pay off at an amazing rate. Now that we've wrapped up running backs, let's move right along quickly to the wide receivers. And the number 1 wide receiver I have for you this week is that of Antonio Brown. He's at $9,000 versus the New Orleans Saints. And once again, yes, he's a pricey player, but he is at home and gets the Saints secondary that gives up over 40 points per game to opposing wide receivers. I like Antonio Brown as a play. This might be one of those beast games, especially if the Saints offense can get rolling a little bit too, forcing the Steelers to throw the ball. The number 2 wide receiver, should be no surprise to anyone, is A.J. Green at Tampa Bay. He's $8,200. A.J. had a monster last week. The only thing missing was the TD. He caught 12 balls for 121 yards and put up 27 fantasy points. He and Dalton are on fire, and the lowly Bucks secondary is poised to be torched by A.J. Green and company. I love A.J. Green this week. The number 3 wide receiver I have for you this week is Jarvis Landry at the Jets. He's $5,400. He put up 20 points last week, catching 7 of 10 balls, and now he gets the Jets secondary, who is terrible to say the least. I like him to equal that performance, if not exceed it, and that means he'll more than pay off the $5,400 price tag. The number 4 wide receiver I have for you this week is John Brown at Atlanta. He's $4,500. L. Fitz is at this time looking to not play this week, and even if he does, he's clearly limited with that PCL injury, and Brown is a legit option for Stanton against a weak Falcons secondary. Remember, this similar situation happened earlier in the season, and everybody and their brother was on Michael Floyd. And what happened? John Brown had a huge game. I think that most players will go back to Floyd again. For what reason, I do not know. And the last time that happened, Brown beasted up. I like Brown to beast up again against a weak Falcons secondary. The number 5 wide receiver I have for you this week is Poppa's risk reward play of the week, and that is Justin Hunter at the Houston Texans. He's $4,000. He saw 10 targets last week, and over the past few weeks has been the favorite target of Zach Mettenberger. Plus, he draws the Texans defense this week that is 32nd, dead last against the pass. I think that Justin Hunter is poised to have that game the players have been hoping out of that he would give all season long. I would look for 20-plus points out of Justin Hunter this week. I like him a lot. Now that we've wrapped up wide receivers, let's move right along to the tight end position. The number 1 tight end I have for you on the board should be a surprise to no one. It's Rob Gronkowski at $7,800. He's at Green Bay this week. I don't know what I need to say here except that it is Gronk. This game could go several ways, and any one of those ways, Gronk will be a focal point, will be a major part of the offense, as he is the sole focal point of the way the Patriots move the ball down the field. I think Gronk will more than pay off his price tag this week. It's just whether or not you want to spend that kind of money on the tight end position or try to value save and spend that money elsewhere on the running back or wide receiver position. The number 2 tight end I have for you this week is Jimmy Graham. He's $7,100 at Pittsburgh. Jimmy had a great week last week and should be able to add on to that performance with another great performance against the Steelers secondary that is bottom 10 in the league against the tight end position. I like Jimmy a lot this week, but once again, he's $7,100, and that limits what you can do with the rest of your team if you decide to spend that much on a tight end. Now we'll go more to the value tight ends. We'll start off with the number 3 pick I have for you this week is Delanie Walker at $4,800 at the Houston Texans. The CMSU grad, props to my alma mater, resumed his stud tight end status last week, and his price is still dirt cheap. He has a bad matchup on paper against the Texans, but I think that means a low own percentage. A lot of teams don't focus on throwing to the tight end, and a lot of those teams have played the Texans. I think that that's why the matchup is the way it is on paper. I also think that Walker that Walker lines up a lot in the slot position, and they even move him out to wide receiver. I think that when those are the case, he's against corners that are the worst in the league. I like Delanie Walker this weekend, especially at a $4,800 price tag. The number 4 tight end I have for you this week is that of Travis Kelce. He's $4,300 versus the Denver Broncos at home on Sunday Night Football. The Broncos are actually terrible against the tight end position this week, and Kelce should continue to see his fair share of targets, which should mean a great game at Arrowhead. I've already talked about how the Chiefs are going to be motivated, and the Kelce play is a really good play, especially if Peyton Manning and that offense of the Broncos are able to put up points. The Chiefs will have to respond via the air, and that means more balls caught for Jamal Charles, and that means balls caught for Travis Kelce to the tune of probably around 15 to 20 fantasy points if Peyton Manning can get that offense going. Let's now move to the number 5 pick at tight end, which is Poppa's risk reward play of the week at tight end, and that is Niles Paul at $3,200 at Indy. Reed is still gimpy with the hamstring. I would keep an eye on his status as it will affect Paul's potential for a great game. But Indy averages giving up over 15 points a game to the tight end position. So I think Niles Paul will get that 15 and have a great game. And I honestly think Niles Paul will have that game even if Reed ends up playing. Hamstrings are notoriously tricky. All it takes is one false cut, trying to accelerate or decelerate too fast, and they're out of the game. Not to mention any of the times they would run double tight end sets, Paul is a legitimate option. I like Niles Paul this week at that low price tag of $3,200. Well, that's been Poppa's picks for this week. Lucky week 13 of the NFL football season. Hopefully these picks keep you informed, and hopefully they make me and you a lot of money. And as I've said before, if I can't take down the Millionaire Maker this weekend, hopefully you can, and hopefully Poppa's picks helps you get there. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave us a message or comment on the website on fantasydonks.com, or you can hit me up on Twitter. That's at Big Poppa Debate. That's BIGPOPPADB and the number 8, and I will answer you as soon as humanly possible. I hope you have a great week and good luck, and let's all win some money in fantasy football. Bye, everybody.